Welcome to another 10 with Ken. This week I'm at Sheridan College, speaking with Janet Morrison, the president and vice-chancellor.
If you know anything about Sheridan, you know that it has a global reputation for its illustration and animation programs, and has built a powerful brand around the word creative. There aren't too many places where creativity is considered something you can teach.
Sheridan really views creativity relative to people, to process, to product, to space. Creativity is one of the skills that students, learners will need to be successful in the coming decades.
This week, Janet Morrison talks about cultivating creativity, preparing students for the future, and campuses for innovation.
Thank you for taking some time to talk with me this morning, Janet.
Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to Sheridan.
Thank you. Let's talk a bit about what Sheridan's most known for as a starting point, and that is its positioning as a center for creative thinking, as an institution driven by creativity.
I think sometimes people think Sheridan and they think creative programming. I'm relatively new to Sheridan, so I've been here for a couple of years, and I think probably one of the greatest points of pride for me, as I've come to know the learning community, has really been about the depth and breadth of creativity and creative thinking. So Sheridan really views creativity relative to people, to process, to product, to space. And I think particularly as we contemplate a world of constant change and disruption, what we've come to embrace as a learning community, students, faculty, and staff, is the value of creativity in and of itself, but sometimes as the precursor of innovation, but the value of creativity almost as an inoculator around that disruption. We embrace creativity as a way to deal with ambiguity, complex problems, not complicated problems, but really complex, messy problems. Creativity is one of the skills that learners will need to be successful in the coming decades. And that's substantiated by CEOs, by recent reports from the banks, who really position creativity as one of those key essential skills.
It's one of the last things that AIs are likely to take over from us humans.
Absolutely.
That creative thinking piece.
You know, what we know about the future of work, what we think we know about the kinds of skills and behavioral attributes that students, graduates are going to need to be successful, there's absolutely the essential skills piece of it. I think literacy is really important. I think numeracy is really important. Critical skills thinking, we would argue, the capacity to think creatively, to innovate, really important. And then there's a whole bunch of behavioral attributes where I think you really can teach, whether you want to call it resilience or perseverance, you really can support students to become more comfortable in a world of ambiguity and constant change, because I honestly think that's the only certainty over the course of the next decades, is that things are changing.
Creative thinking is going to be important in the economy to be valuable, I guess, as human workers alongside increasingly intelligent, narrow AI and algorithms running big data.
Yeah.
But there's also a way in which an antidote or an inoculation, I think you used the word earlier, to that protectionist anxiety that permeates politics is more empathy, which I've always thought that the arts and humanities kinds of cultivates in us, is an ability to put ourselves in other people's shoes, to be more generous of spirit with other people. Is that part of what creativity can?
Yeah, you know what, that whole notion of post-secondary education as a transformative experience on both the social and the personal side, what we know is that those non-market outcomes, the social stuff, it both feeds but also cultivates a sense of happiness. So whether that's volunteering or being more actively engaged or running for political office, even when you control for some of the confounding influences around privilege on entry, those things are really important and they matter, and on some level they just kind of make people feel good. So I would argue forever and a day around the value of post-secondary, like even if you park the economic, personal, earning potential benefits, which are undeniable, post-secondary education is a public service. It does good things for the public. This is important, and how we foster engagement amongst our students, how we teach, coach, mentor them to be active citizens in a democracy really matters, maybe more so today than ever.
When we talk about the creative campus at Sheridan, what does that really mean?
Learning communities, if and when they're authentic, so when they're at their best, they kind of live and breathe what their values are. And so I think you really see that at Sheridan. We offer courses in creativity and creative thinking. Over 3,000 students in our degree programs, our diploma programs, certificate programs have taken those courses. But at the same time, 300 staff at Sheridan have enrolled in creative problem-solving workshops that we believe have fueled creative thinking and innovation in not just our programs, but our service delivery. And so we think by cultivating creativity amongst our faculty and staff, we also have 100 external members of our surrounding communities that have enrolled in those workshops. Our mission is being fueled and accelerated by training and development around creativity, which is totally possible. So there's lots of excitement about that.
So training and developing people's creative thinking skills is certainly a core part of the creative campus. Now, there's plenty of research on the impacts of physical spaces, of green space, of sort of less obvious ways in which an institution can kind of cultivate an innovative or creative culture through nudges of one kind or another. I mean, how much does that enter into the planning here at Sheridan?
Space matters. We understand and appreciate that. Again, I think authenticity really does matter. And so we want people to experience creativity from the minute they're on our properties. All three of our campuses in Brampton, Mississauga, and in Oakville. Our creative campus galleries, installations across the galleries that really challenge our students, our faculty, our staff to think about the world in different ways, to reflect, digest, and then potentially reprocess or re-engineer what their thinking is. So Creative Campus Gallery is really important to who we are. Annually, we do a creative speaker series. So we've had Ken Dryden here, we've had Roberta Jameson here. Again, cultivating curiosity across our communities to generate discourse and discussion so that people see the world through a different lens or a different lived experience. We do an annual temporary contemporary installation that again really challenges the way people think about a lived experience or a piece of art. I really do think living it matters, and the hope, the expectation is that people who experience Sheridan get a real sense of our commitment to creativity from the minute they're on our campuses.
You mentioned curiosity, which is certainly one of the drivers of innovation in a culture. The other thing that I think is particularly challenging at many higher ed institutions is cultivating the feeling among staff and faculty that they can be courageous or brave, that they can take some risks. Are there insights you've gained in the years you've been leading universities and colleges into how leadership can help to inculcate that courage to be innovative in a higher ed context?
You know what, Ken, that's a really good question. I place a huge value on cultivating, capitalizing on the contributions that students, faculty, and staff can make to moving the institution forward. And I learned a lot of those lessons at York. I worked at York University for 17 years before I came to Sheridan. And it really taught me about the value of consultation, collaboration, engagement. And it's not always easy. These are not always easy conversations, but I hope what I brought from that experience to Sheridan was an openness and a sense of enthusiasm for listening. We did an academic plan when I first got here. We've coordinated a strategic planning process that I have said from day one will be the most open, engaged, consultative in Sheridan's history. And that sometimes involves very difficult conversations. We've got folks with a multitude of lived experiences. I say often that if we're hiring the right people, they're opinionated, well-educated, with great experiences. I think there's a level of naivete in thinking that those folks don't come to a table and disagree at moments around the direction of their learning community. I also think, when people care about the place, they're going to express those opinions with a level of enthusiasm. And so I actually enjoy the process of sifting and sorting and digesting. I think about it a little bit like a research project. So how do you triangulate that qualitative data? How do you make sense of it? How do you distill it? How do you find not consensus, but a level of alignment and mutual agreement? Recognizing that the people who know Sheridan best are the learners and the educators and the support staff that make it work. Sheridan is full of people who really genuinely care, most particularly about learners, and so we're trying to capitalize on that to move us to a plan for 2024. It's very exciting. I'm thrilled about where we're going.
I think we could talk all day. I know you can't because you've got things to do, but thank you so much for your time this morning, Janet. This has been an interesting discussion, and
thank you so much.
I hope we have a chance to pick it up again.
Thank you very much, Ken. It's great.
Okay.
We have a world of higher ed innovations and bright ideas to bring you in the weeks ahead. To be sure you don't miss a thing, take a moment now to subscribe. And thanks for watching.
Anyone take one? Alpha mark.
Okay, and then we're gonna do B mark. One.
Is it rolling?
Rolling. Soft sticks, please.
Beta mark, soft sticks mark.
This week I'm at Sheridan College speaking with Janet Morrison, President and CEO.
I think you need to introduce me again.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm gonna have to edit that out if I'm gonna.
No, we got
it.
it.